Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. Oh, you know, like candy corn and popcorn balls and let's see, oh, caramel apples. Oh, I just love all of those. Well, you know what I mean. The treats, not the stinky feet. Well, hello, Boneheads. It feels like it has been such a long time since I have seen some of you. Oh, I can see some of you out there, some old dear friends, but it looks like I see some new faces. So welcome and come aboard. My name is Baggo, and yes, I am your front desk clerk. Oh, well, let's see. What about, let me see. Oh, here we are, our Halloween calendar, and it looks like, yes sirree, it is only 13 more days until Halloween. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Yes, you know, that special time of year where you go out to the store and you buy that special costume, or perhaps you find a fun little mask that you like to wear, you put on some fun makeup, and let's see, you grab one of those plastic pumpkins, or you got a little goodie bag, and you just go door to door, and you stand there and you knock, and you say trick or treat. Trick or treat, give me something good to eat. But do you ever wonder why we say that? Well, this is the first thing that we're going to be looking at over the next 13 days. Fun little things about Halloween. Now, as you know, Halloween, it seems like we've been celebrating that here in the United States and in Canada for some time. And you would not be wrong. It is true. We have, and I love it every year. But this tradition goes back way further. If we go back in time, some 2,000 years ago, there used to be a Gaelic tradition, and it was celebrated by our Celtic friends. That little celebration was known as Samhain. Now, Samhain was a harvest celebration. That is right, it was the end of the summer, and they were going into harvest season. And with any harvest season, you know, it's always feast or famine. If you had a good crop, we're talking feast. If you had a bad crop, it's famine. Famine, you know, dead and scary. And so what would happen with Samhain would mark a half of a year. The first half being summer, the second half being winter. Summer being light and cheery, and then the other half being dark and spooky. And it was believed that on this particular night, the eve of October the 31st, and the dawn of November the 1st, that this would be the time that the separation between life and death was at its thinnest. The veil was slightly there. So that meant that you, the living, could interact with the dead. And worse yet, the dead could interact with you. So these demons and these dark spirits would cross over into our world. Well, you would not want them to catch you and catch your soul, because if they did, they would take you back to that dark place with them. So what did these people do? Well, our Celtic friends, they would create these scary masks so that they would look like a demon as well. So possibly that's where we got the idea to have masks. The scary, spooky mask that we wear goes back to the Samhain tradition. Now, also on that same night, if the mask wasn't bad enough, and that didn't scare them all away, well, you and your friends, you build a big bonfire. The biggest one you can build, because the bigger the fire, the better chances you had of scaring off all those evil spirits. You might have a s'more or two along the way. Now, it wasn't long after that, as you know, this sort of seemed like a dark and kind of like pagan behavior, so that seemed to upset some of our Catholic friends. Now, the Catholics, they were on a roll over there in Europe. They were becoming very popular, but they didn't have a lot of people coming into the church. So what they did is somewhere around the 7th century, they decided to create their own holiday. That's right, it was based off the Samhain tradition. And on November the 1st, they had All Saints' Day, where they could observe all of their saints who had passed and they could remember them fondly. Now, then it was believed in the church that some people got upset about that because they were just acknowledging the saint people. But what about dear old grandma and grandpa? What about them? What about me, mom, people? We don't know about them. So on November the 2nd, they created All Souls Day. And if you back it up 2 more days, that would have been October the 31st. October the 31st was known as All Hallows Eve, or Hallowmas. Hallow was a word that meant holy. So it was a holy day to observe all of your beloved people who have passed into the beyond. Now, there is a little gray area here, if you will. Some of us know about heaven, some of us know about hell, but what is that little place in between? You see, there were some people in the church who believed in the purgatory. That is right. So in the medieval times, it was believed that some souls were just walking around in purgatory, and their families felt very sad about this. So what they did is they would create something that was just called soul food. You know, like hot chicken and that kind of thing. No, not that kind of soul food, but it was soul food. They had these little cookies, these little soul cookies, and what would happen is the poor people would knock on the doors and they would ask their friends for a cookie. In exchange for the cookie, they would then offer to pray their relatives out of purgatory, and they'd get a free pass and go straight to heaven. I think that's great. Pray for your relatives, give a little cookie, send them on the way. What is wrong with that? Well, what does become wrong with that is some of these little tykes who were enjoying the free cookie, they got a little bit older and they got a little bit tipsier. You see, some of our Scottish friends and our Irish friends even have a night that they call Mischief Night. That is right. So what would happen is the little wafer of cookie was not enough for them. So they began to cause mischief in the town. They would tip over outhouses, they would throw eggs at somebody's home, and they would open up gates of all the cattle and let all their livestock run loose. Well, this was very upsetting to all the townspeople. So what they did is had a town meeting, the townspeople and all the business people got together, and they decided that they would offer them a treat. Because maybe if they offered them a treat, they would not be so mean. Well, this is also just another one of those theories as to how trick-or-treating came about. We've talked a little bit about purgatory. Another fun thing that we tie in with Halloween are those little jack-o'-lanterns, those little pumpkins. They're always cute. You have them in the window, like this little guy here. And what that ties back to is another little guy who was stuck in purgatory. He belongs to an Irish folktale, and his name is called Stingy Jack. I don't know why he was stingy, but he was a very stingy person. And when it came time for him to cut it off, and he was out of here, well, the man up above decided he was too stingy, so he could not go to heaven. And apparently he had crossed the man down below before on a sour deal. So the man down below decided he couldn't go down below. So he let him walk around in purgatory. But purgatory was dark and spooky. And the only thing that Jack had was just a turnip. So he would carve this little turnip, and inside he put a little light inside there. That was sort of the first little jack-o'-lantern. Because, as you know, over there in Ireland, turnips were very popular at the time. Once the Irish people started to immigrate over here, we didn't have so many turnips, so we had a lot of pumpkins. So what did they do? They found the nearest vegetable, they started cutting that up, putting little light bulbs in that. Next thing you know, you got a jack-o'-lantern. Well, I see by our little clock over there on the wall that we're out of time for today. But don't forget, we got 12 more days of some fun Halloween stuff coming your way. I hope you're enjoying our little Halloween episode. I hope you enjoy what we're doing for you. I know you're on countdown to Halloween. Make sure you get your costumes ready. And until then, we will see you next time tomorrow on Facebook. Hey, Jordan. Can you tell me why the mummy had to go and see his psychiatrist? Why is that, Baggo? Because he was all wrapped up in his feelings.